Hi, good evening, guys. How are we doing today?
Good,
Good
thank you.
evening.
Yourself?
Good
Good afternoon, we're good.
Good
Okay,
evening.
we're going to start at 6:05. We're just going to give persons a few minutes to join, okay? And we'll start promptly at 6:05. Hi, good afternoon, all. Okay, so we were giving persons a few minutes to join. but it's being recorded. So happy Easter, and we'll go on with the class. Donna, you have a question? Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't have a question, but I wanted to be able to share what I saw in the business section to share with the class.
Okay. Okay. Just one
I was just
second.
waiting. Right, I was just waiting for everybody.
Okay. Okay. How many persons want to share on newspaper articles tonight? No, nobody else, only Donna. Okay. Is there anybody who wants to share their civic organization?
Yes.
I do, Miss Bullet. I do.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, who is OG? I don't know who's OG.
Odia.
Okay, so we have Donna, then Odia, and there was somebody else who spoke.
I was Crystal, Miss Bullet. Me.
Okay, so we'll have Donna, Odia, and then Crystal. And that'll be it. And then we will get into the lecture because we are working with time tonight. And so we want to make sure everybody starts their holiday and we'll catch up with everything else in next week's class. Okay, so go ahead, Donna.
Okay, again, good evening, everyone. I saw a newspaper article in this week's business section where it says law compliance fair over PPL fuel cost.
Donna, you sound a little muffled. Can you come closer to your mic or?
Sorry, I don't know
You
what.
sound a bit far away.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear
Yes,
me
that's
now?
better. Yes.
Okay. I saw on a newspaper article in this week's business section that says law compliance fair over PPL fuel cost. The concerns were that PPL could potentially be violating the law by failing to fully pass its fuel cost on to residential and business consumers. What I wanted to ask the class if this is consistent with the law operating, that's what I wanted to find out and share with the class.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of controversy surrounding this fuel surcharge. If you do look at your BPL bill, it is there. And, just the street talk is this is something Pinland came up with back all the way back then. How many years was more than 30 years
100
ago?
years.
Yeah, 100 years ago, Donna, you're correct. And it was after, the cost of gas rose so high, he was supposed to remove it. However, it was never removed. And so it's been a subject of controversy for a very long time. Now, when the PLP was the opposition, they smashed the F&M government for allowing it. And now they are the government. And so I guess the F&M is smashing them for not removing it or allowing it. And so the people suffer in the meantime by paying this extra fuel surcharge charge. So I was supposed to read up on it. I fully understand if they are blatantly stealing from us or what's happening, but it's been controversial for the last 10 years or so. People have been complaining about it and was supposed to be removed. Not only that, immediately when I don't want to say immediately, but in this year, Freeport Power Company, which is not owned by the government, which is owned by the port, was able to increase their electricity bills by, they wanted to increase it by 6%. I think the government in this year, January, increased it by 3%. And of course, there was a lot of outrage. A month or so ago, some leaked information came out where they had said that they were going to increase BPL. And there was so much outrage. Somebody put it on Facebook. It was so much outrage. The prime minister was traveling. He had to come on and do a media, come on and speak a press conference from wherever he was in the room and say, it was a mistake. It's not yet that has not been approved, but they've been talking about it in Freeport and then it was approved. So I think it's coming. And so before
Yeah.
that does come, this increase at BBL, they must remove that. We can't have that fuel surcharge and an increase as well. But
Exactly.
you all vote them
I
in.
understand
Donna,
that.
you all vote them in. Or Julian in this class. You all vote them in, Donna.
You have, you
You
want
all
to
vote them in. That's all I have to say. So I don't know if anybody else has information on it, but we need to investigate because we have to fight for this, Donna. So we need
Also,
to, if you see any other
they said,
information on it, let us know.
I will. I understand that they said there's supposed to be a significant increase on July 1st. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I'm hearing.
But you know, the budget is every July. So was significant increase, you mean at BPL or at NIB? Because I even hear NIB.
No, BBL.
Really?
No, BBL. NIB is going up as well.
Yeah. You all vote them in, Donna. I blame in you. You all vote them in. But anyway.
I take that one for the team.
Yeah. Okay, so temporary. That's all I could say. The Bible say do not worry about tomorrow. You know, God provides. If you don't have a relationship with God, God help you to pay just to keep your light on. People, I'm on a Lutheran right now, and people, at least 10 people riding around on bicycles. So that's the cost of gas over here is $6.95.
Wow.
5 cents away from $7. So yeah, and they have signs up at the gas station from last night. Big holiday weekend, you only could get $20 gas because they have a shortage.
Oh wow.
So per car, if your car was on E, you could only get $20, and what is that? Less than 4 gallons. Yep. So y'all pray. Only prayer. Does anybody know anything else about this BPL surcharge? Owen, you speak up to date.
Right
Tell
here.
me, but this surcharge with Pinland put in place, you still pay it. Tell me about it, Owen.
Well, I mean, my 5 cents is that, you know, BPL is a business and they got expenses and we don't know how the expenses looking. So thinking from a CEO or a general manager or a financial controller point of view, I would have to look at the expenses of BPL first before I jump to the conclusion on whether it will be the wisest move to remove it from the bill. Yes, we as consumers all want it to be removed, but from a company standpoint, we got to look and see what BPL expenses is before we do that. Because if we just jump to the conclusion and say remove it and BPL can't meet its expenses, then that's another story we can look at.
Okay.
That's my 5 cents.
That makes sense, Owen. But do you think this surcharge that has been controversial for so long, they could leave it and increase 3%? Would that be fair to the people? Because I would say all that surcharge that you shouldn't have been charging me for the last 20 years, where that money is.
That's my point right there.
Where that money is. You can't put 3%. We can't pay the 2. We can't pay the 2. Before you jump to
the conclusion, because I would want the surcharge to be removed too, because it can lower my light bill. But the thing is that we have to look at what the expenses of BPL are. And maybe, it just may be that they might have been, the expenses may be so absorbent, or whatever the word is.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
That they may have to put that surcharge in there. So maybe they need to look at reducing their expenses so they can end up either removing the surcharge or reducing it. That's an option too.
Owen, these governments will have to do something. Their job is not only to oppose, they are supposed to be out there. They are supposed to be businessmen and women trying to better the country for the people. Okay, looking for investments to curtail these types of things. Okay, they need to collect the money from who they should be collecting it from, putting it where it should go. Okay, and the people should not always continue to suffer, especially that we have Aragonite. So those Aragonite money that been going again for 30 years and nobody seems to could control it. All the concessions, the Hawksville Creek Agreement was just signed again for the poor, they cannot seem to stop giving them discounts and they are wealthy. So something has to be done for the people. We need the casserole back or the whatever is being compared. We need the organize, and we need that to curtail or to subsidize some of these fees because of the cost of gas. Then we need some educated people. Where Mikhail in here, because where are the futures? If me and Mikhail, we don't watch the stock market, and we know, just like Shell had bought futures, right, Mikhail?
Yep.
Yeah, we need an election, Mikhail. If one more thing increase, we vote them out as fast as we vote them in, right?
With NIB right here and National Health Insurance, NHI too. And then we can
Okay.
consider income tax.
Well, if they collect it and put it to the right place. Okay, so we didn't just hire them to or vote them in to argue every Wednesday. They are supposed to be providing solutions for the people, not just increase.
But Ms. Pollard, like I made the same point, I think between either this morning or yesterday about the whole NIB thing about the potential increase. I'm like, okay, the answer can't just be to keep giving them money. What are you doing with the money you already collecting? How are these things being managed? What are we getting? Because if you're just asking or rather increasing taxes and you're mismanaging the funds, fast forward 5-10 years from now, they can be back again saying, well, we just need more money. And it's like, well, where do we draw the line? I think we'll just be working to pay taxes.
Agreed, Miguel. Like I say, a country needs the taxes, but they have to invest it in the right place. They cannot mismanage it. And we, as Bahamians who voted them in, need to hold their feet to the fire when we go to these community meetings and use the Minister of Public Works or whatever. Ask, what are you doing? What solutions do you have to keep the cost of electricity down, seeing that there's a rise in gas? Why didn't you all buy futures? What is happening? How are you all just announcing that due to the rise in gas, we have to increase? No, it doesn't work like that. If you are a business person and if you are qualified to be in the position that you hold, okay? Because all of us work in the financial services sector. At the end of the year, Mikhail, your institution is going to give you a performance appraisal. If you don't do well, they're going to say, Mikhail, take our bonus and try again next year. You think that's what they're going to do, Mikhail? What going to happen to you? Tell us.
At best, you might be lucky if they put you on a performance improvement plan. But
okay,
you will be out as quickly as you got in. Quicker rather.
Thank you. And so therefore, the same thing. They had from September this year, 1 year. Let's look at the report card. We need to see results. Okay, we need to see results because we sure see traveling around the world. I never seen so much travel in my life. But anyway, we ain't fighting over what happening. I'd like to see results on September 16th and a difference made for the people of the Bahamas, because or we need to have an election right away. That's my 5 cents. Okay, very, very good topic, Donna. Crystal, go ahead.
Okay, so I didn't necessarily attend a Toastmasters meeting, but I went to an ACAMS meeting this week. They had a virtual event basically outlining the AML CTF landscape and achievements in the Bahamas. And some of the key points, some of them we would have discussed in this class, was that the Bahamas was removed from the enhanced monitoring process by the FATF. We were re-rated as compliant or largely compliant in 38 of the 40 recommendations, and we were removed from the EU's AML blacklist of countries. So they went on to basically just discuss other things that the central bank's AML outreach team has been doing over the past year or two, which is the release of the 2nd edition AML publications, AML research conference that are now, they said, what I found significant was that those conferences are now being recognized by the IMF. They created a correspondent banking de-risking surveys a refresh, and they created a refresh of the National Risk Assessment. So there were other small things. I didn't get to stay for the entire meeting because that was held during work hours, but that was
Okay.
what I did this week.
Okay, excellent. Crystal, thank you so much for sharing. Odia?
Yes, ma'am. I will deal with both my meeting as well as the newspaper article. So I attended on Tuesday Healing Communicators Toastmasters Club 7178. The topic was Hope, Hold On, Pain Ends, and it was a fitting topic, like they said, as it's Holy Week. And as we hear about Jesus experiencing pain, hold on, because we know what happens during Easter. Owen wasn't there, so I had to introduce myself to the Toastmasters as Owen's guest. The word for the day was a word I think I would have heard it before, but I definitely don't think I ever used it. Paroxysm, which means any sudden or uncontrollable outburst, a fit of emotion or action. And like someone explained in the Bahamian term, it just means freaking out. It took about an hour with just internal housekeeping. So I see why another colleague here said that Toastmasters probably wasn't for her, but I held on for the 2.5 hours. It was a very long meeting. After about an hour of housekeeping, they did the table topics, and that was very interesting, where they had just questions that they threw out to different Toastmasters as well as guests. And then they had 3 speakers, and everybody spoke on the same topic of hope, hold on, pain ends. And 2 takeaways that I got from the speakers. One did a 14-day journal where they tracked their emotions to see when they were most happy, when they were down, when they were sad. And obviously, persons are usually happier on Fridays than they are on Mondays. We know why, right? The other person,
Paydays,
yes, and on paydays, you're right. Yes. The other person spoke about, and a takeaway that I got was that, you know, when you set goals, instead of looking at the goal of losing weight, I want to lose 30 pounds in 2022, just set a goal of I want to lose 5 pounds each month. And so that was very timely for me because I'm looking to lose some weight. And so 5 pounds sounded a little bit more achievable for me. And so that's what I'm going after, 5 pounds this month and 5 pounds next month.
Okay, excellent.
Yes. So at the end of the meeting, they did call on persons to just give your summation of what you thought the meeting was, how you liked the meeting. And I was happy that they did not call on me.
No, but you did give constructive feedback or constructive criticism.
Yes.
I'm sure they would appreciate that.
Yes, yes. But it was a good meeting. I enjoyed it. So that's why I actually went all the way to the end. I enjoyed it.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
Glad you found it beneficial.
Yes. My newspaper article was an interesting article that caught my attention in the paper. I think it was Tuesday's edition of the Tribune, where a private bank worker gets a $58,000 win overturned. So it took her on an appeal to win against her workplace, who took her to court, who fired her, just for sending an email to her Gmail. She was trying to meet deadlines. And so doing the work, she said her boss was really pressing her to send out this expense report. And she sent the information to her Gmail without getting the proper authorization, and they fired her. And
right. So it is a breach. It is a breach because I'm sure she has a handbook that says
confidentiality, yes,
right.
agreement.
You can't send it to Gmail, and it's not protected. It could have been hacked.
Right, but I mean, that could have been a warning. I mean, that was, to me, that was a bit extreme. Yeah.
But you know, when people want to fire you, you could see
yes.
You say, you sneeze too loud.
Yes. And they clearly swung her by saying to her, okay, let me come to your house and go through all of your personal equipment to see what email you sent. And we promise we won't fire you. And then, so they got that information, and then they turned around and fired her.
Wow.
So she won the $58,000 against ITAU. So ITAU doesn't seem to be a very pleasant place, but obviously they said there was breaches that she would
Right,
have
but
done by sending the
they
information.
overturned that, right? Doesn't she have to pay the money back?
No, from my understanding, it seemed as if she won.
No, she won initially, and they took
Right.
it to the Court of Appeal, and it's overturned. And now I thought she now had to pay the money back.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I just saw the highlight. I didn't read the entire story.
It says she has seen a 58,000 damages award against her former employee overturned after she breached its client.
Right. So
But they
appealed.
found that she had been unfairly dismissed as unreasonable and illogical and cannot be sustained.
Okay.
It seemed as if that they had found her guilt, that at first they were saying she had to pay, then the other judge then said, no, I agree that, this was extreme.
Oh, okay. Okay, understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Very good. Okay, very good, guys. Thank you all for sharing, and we want to keep in with our time, and so that's all the sharing for tonight. And next week, whomever wants to share the newspaper or article or what have you, can do it next week. Okay. Okay, good. So we might be on here by 7 o'clock. Okay, so chapter 8. Hopefully you had the opportunity to look at this chapter. And about 2 years ago, in my ICA class, one of the questions, of course, you know that by now there's 3 3,500 word essays for AML and 3 3,500 word essays for governance, risk, and compliance. And on the AML side, the 3,500 word essay was explain a suspicious transaction and how it is established and what have you. And I was in shock. At least half of the class did not even know how to start that essay, okay? And so what happened, and this is why intro and intermediate was created, to delve a little bit deeper, to give you an overview, because many persons have a first degree and so they feel like they can go automatically into ICA. However, this just proves how, instrumental these two, intro as well as intermediate, is. And so I just want to know, do we know how we would have started this 3,500 word essay? Explain how a suspicious transaction would report starts in order to be filed with the FIU. Can anybody answer that?
Start off with a definition of what is a suspicious transaction first, to let the reader know.
Okay, so tell us what it is.
I guess it's something, it can be described as customer or entity's abnormal transactional behavior that it can be, this ain't a good one though, but I guess that does not reflect their onboarding profile.
Oh, very good to me, very good. And that's what half of the class did not know. They did not know that they should have started at onboarding, okay? And that's how it becomes suspicious, because it's outside of the profile that was corroborated when you open the account. So of course, when you come and open the account, we ask you for a job letter, for proof of income, or financials, or a copy of a will. Where does this money come from? And we corroborate it. We ensure that it makes sense. So if you make $2,000 a month and you say, I'm gonna deposit $10,000, we are supposed to say, where's the extra 8,000 coming from? And then, of course, you might have a mortgage, you might have bills. You can't deposit the full 2,000 in savings, correct? You all there? Come on, talk back to me,
Yeah,
Renika.
that's true. Correct.
Right. Right. And so therefore, that's how a suspicious transaction is established. At onboarding, the information you provide is corroborated. You make sure it makes sense. The thresholds that you put down, the amount of money you're going to deposit, the frequency. If you say I'm a government employee, but I get deposited 10,000 every week, that should be a red flag, right? Because we know government employees is once from the 20s.
Once a month.
Yeah, once a month. If I see a government employee on the 15 or the 16, I look at them sideways. I'd be like, wait, what's going on? That's when I was in retail. Why is this person here? Okay, because there's normally absolutely no transactions until the end of the month. Okay, and the first 5 days of the beginning of the month, and that's it. Then you could go on with your normal life because you know government paydays take over the entire bank. Okay, and so that's how the suspicious transaction is established. You are now, we've cooperated, we've opened your account. We know that you only make this $2,000 a month. Now you deposit in 10,000. Now you're a government employee and you coming in every Friday. So there are systems in the background that alert compliance after the transactions. And we normally get a hit in the background and it tells us, hey, Monico went outside of the profile that was established, okay? And if you look at the homework questions or the classwork questions, it asks you what transactions, what systems are in the background. And I keep saying this because you need to know, is there something that you need to do manually? Your institution may not be one of the Fortune 500 banks, okay? You may not have a very savvy system. When the regulators show up or somebody infiltrates your system, you cannot say, I didn't know. It's not my responsibility. You should know what are these names being checked every night. I always say, Ms. Bullitt is law abiding. It's a pandemic. I can't feed my children. I go in money launder. I do this drug deal. Is it checking every night or y'all gonna be shocked? They don't even handcuff the people and drag them across the TV no more. Okay, so y'all ain't even gonna see me when they take me to that little FIU jail cell, right? So what reports are you using? Are you using the Bahamas cause list? Are you using World Check? Are you using, is somebody checking the court online every day to see if any of these names pop up? Are the systems connected? Do they alert you? Okay, a lot of systems have a blanketed threshold. I normally worked at offshore, and so therefore we had a blanketed in the beginning that only gave us transactions over $250,000. So what about those people who we only cooperated with deposit 100,000? Manually, we had to go and check reports to make sure they did not go outside of their thresholds. Okay, or annually, or every 2 years or 3 years, when we did our monitoring or our client review, we would print out the entire year of transaction or the entire 3 years of transactions. We would look for anything outside the profile and we would have to sign off on that and leave that on file. Okay, go ahead, Tania.
I have a question pertaining to this.
Go ahead.
I read in the newspaper that, I don't know if I can say it, but then I guess allegedly Paul Major is his name, who used to work, a former worker at CIBC. They were saying that he had a customer that he used to deal with, and instead of, I guess, the normal routing system of how you would wire money or put money in your account, he flew to New York, I guess, where he was for a day, and he got the money and he brought it back and he put it on the client's account, because he was a very old client and he was dealing with him from the inception. So I was wondering if they have controls in place for everybody to see things like that, because the bank let him go basically, but they were saying that it breached their policy to say that you have to state all US citizens' taxes to the OFAC, or you get in trouble with them and you could face penalties.
Okay, I am confused. He flew to New York and deposited a customer's money to his own personal account?
To his personal account, instead of, I guess, doing it the normal way. He put it there. So I was wondering if they have controls in place for actual workers in the bank as well to prevent things like that from occurring, or it's just a one-off.
No, he should not have put it to his account. I mean, we do, like in the offshore world, nobody comes into the bank. So we offer a white glove service. So we do fly to New York, Switzerland, all over the world to just have lunch with the clients. And if the clients give you a deposit, you would need to have a second person there to verify. Yeah, so our policy says 2 persons have to be there to verify. And so that would be suspicious. I mean, we have a lot of old people who are like 80, and they say, oh, they don't trust ATM, they prefer to deal with cash. But it has to be, again, like in their profile. All of that would be documented on file, that this customer prefers to deal with cash, and somebody is there to verify the amount that the customer is giving. Okay, but he should, like you say, should not have deposited to his own personal account. That's where the breach went
Go to
in.
client's account instead of the client doing it
No,
himself.
yeah.
Well, why
It
was that a
sounded like
problem?
rather than, no, it sounded like instead of the customer doing a wire transfer, the banker actually went and took the money there. The banker was looking for a little free trip, it sounded like.
Yeah, but that we had customers that have requests like that. We have a customer in Freeport. He owns oil and horses and everything, and he's won $10,000 cash. They just have to hop on a
Yeah.
plane to Freeport and give that to him personally.
But he probably didn't declare it. So that's maybe
Yeah,
what he's
something
trying
had to
do.
happen
Yeah.
where he did not.
And then it was a
That is
fraud
a
thing with a
that
football.
is a service that we do offer to our high net worth clients. Jesus, some of them is $150,000.
I didn't know that because I found it very interesting that you can fly off, either get the customer's money, bring it back, put it in their account,
Yeah.
that not be like verified or somehow.
If that's your company's policy, if the policy says you cannot do that, then you cannot do it. But I know in the offshore world, I've worked in offshore for the past 10 years, customers do make that request. Like a customer came in on their yacht, they wanted $50,000 cash. We told them that we are not going to do it, but we arranged for them. We sent a limo, we picked them up from their yacht, we took them in the branch, and we said, if you all want to walk around with $50,000 without the amateur, then that's up to you all. But we did not deny them, you know, the money. And it was inside their profile. So I don't know. Customers, I had a customer, he used to pull up into the parking lot, and he used to give me like 10, and I used to work the Finkel Robinson Road. And I used to be terrified because I terrified of cash. And he used to say, Miss Bullet, if you don't deposit it, I don't care. I am not coming in that bank. I need my money in there. And he had stores in the straw market. And so I just let the other manager know, and she would walk out to the bus. We would sit in his bus, he would count the money out to us, and we would take it inside. I never did it alone. So stuff like that has to be done in dual custody. But you do have customers making those type of requests. Like a customer once said, oh, Miss Bullet, come play tennis. And of course, I said that I don't know how to play tennis, but yeah, I had to go and buy a whole tennis outfit and go to Ocean Club and pretend I knew how to play tennis. And then they gave me like $5,000 cash. Of course, I called somebody. Royal Bank was also on Paradise Island, and I got a staff member from the branch to count it with me and verify. And I said, hold this for transfer to the trust company. So we do have requests like that. But again, all I read has to be communicated. You can't just do it and pretend that nobody knows. Once that hit the account, he wouldn't be evading taxes, because each year the bank then does due diligence, and they have to report on CRS and FACA. So once that money hit his bank account, there was no way for him to evade the tax. So it only could be that was outside of the bank's policy. The bank's policies probably specifically said we don't deal with cash.
I just reviewed it. It said that they had I guess a no tolerance for US citizens, because I guess maybe they saw it as too high risk because of all the taxes and stuff involved with them.
But they are wrong. They should not. See, if you have no tolerance for US, because we have a branch, I worked at a branch, a bank that said we had no tolerance for US citizens just because they did not want to report on FACA. They wasn't hiring anybody for US citizens and do all that work. And so that account should not have been opened. The account had to be manipulated and opened incorrectly. That's what he did. It was in the fact that he got that money and deposited. He manipulated the system and opened that account. That means if you go and pull the KYC, it does not reflect that he's a US citizen. Or he lied. Like I had somebody, you have to fill out a W-8, W-9, or a WB Benny. Remember we learned that when we did taxes. We remember that?
Yes, Ms. Bullen.
Okay, so on one of my customers, he had applied for Bahamian citizenship. And we asked him for a copy of it. He said, oh, I'll bring it in 30 days. He never brought it. We got a subpoena from the US government saying that his account should be blocked and we must come to court to testify on how he opened this account. When the account officer walked in with the file, we said, here is his W-8, meaning that he is not a US citizen, and see where he signed and said he has Bahamian citizenship. They said, okay, we have 30 days to report back to the court with his copy of his Bahamian citizenship, or we'll be charged with collusion. We called him on the phone immediately and said, well, could you please have a copy of your Bahamian citizenship, or we have to go to immigration to get it? He said, oh, I applied and they denied me because I was out on bail. Hence, we got charged with collusion. Okay, so don't open these accounts when people talk about I can bring it back. But he at no point told us. He said, I've already paid the $750,000 for the house. And he showed us a copy of that. And he said, I'm just, you know how your immigration department is. I'm just waiting on the card. I'll bring it. I'll have it in 30 days. So we said, okay, fine. Remember, the salespeople are hot because they are on commission. They want this commission. They want this account open. Next thing we know, we getting fined $50,000 for collusion. Okay, you are required to know your customer. And the bank, the regulators allow you 30 days to have all the KYC. There are some mandatory documents up front you must have. Some account opening information you could get within the 30 days. If you pass that 30 days and you get a subpoena, you may go to jail, or definitely the bank will be fined. Okay. So again, we know how to establish a suspicious transaction form. We know that it's outside of the customer's profile that they generated at account opening. Now, the law just changed in 2018, and a lot of people had their accounts from 1999. We ain't necessarily update all them accounts yet. So if the account ain't updated, please update it before you go and take it on as an account officer. If they put 100 accounts under you, make sure that you are senior enough to handle high risk clients. Gone are the days when you can be an account officer and you don't know your client, or somebody in your fault, or everybody's going to jail now. Okay, for these types of things and these problems across these accounts. Like I said the other day, we had a picture with the man handcuffed, but it was in Spanish. And everybody was surprised that he was out on bail and charged with money laundering, but they opened the account. Okay, so a lot of crazy things. Make sure that it's in English and that you could understand what the documents say. Okay, so we want to look at the suspicious transaction form just so we can know how to fill it out. The law says anybody can file a suspicious transaction form. However, each institution has an MLRO, a money laundering reporting officer, on staff. They can't get a license without having that person on staff. And so along with that person on staff, there's a company policy that specifically says how suspicious transactions should be handled and who they should be sent to. Okay. The compliance department has some inside private information. Your manager may have some that you're not privy to. Don't take it upon yourself to go and file a suspicious transaction report on behalf of the Royal Bank of Canada because you feel that this the MLRO cousin or they ain't doing nothing about it. I've always been taught when you refer it to your manager, it's no longer your business. Mind your business and move on. They will be held accountable. Just make sure that you have your proof document where I saw this suspicious thing happening. Like the girls, I think I told you the story, the person who works in the casino at Atlantis, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, non-coherent girls, you know, they may say, man, we can't report that to the FIU. This poker player who spent $10 million, we can't report him. Okay, so you just have your record where you would have sent it on to your manager or to your MLRO. Make sure you know what your company policy states in regard to who it should be sent to. Once you complete that internal form, your MLRO will investigate, do a background check, and then fill out this form here, which is the FIU's form. Now, they no longer have a form. They have a website now. Okay, the form gone for some reason. Let me stop the share. Hold on a second. Yeah, they now have a website where they share, you upload everything to the website, but the form is now embedded into the website. Okay, Miss Bully, got to find out why all the stuff closed out and try to pull it back up again. 1 second. No, I may be able to look in downloads. 1 second, because I did download it. Okay, there we go. All right. So this is the form. This can you all see the screen? No? Okay. Yeah, this is the form that's embedded now in their system, the FIU system, that's called Case Connect. Okay, and this is why we write essays, right? You see this on these sheets? This is where you write in proper English exactly what happened and why it is suspicious and the internal information from whomever would have reported it to you. Okay, and so they ask you, of course, the date, the number of pages, the disclosure type, whether it's proceeds of crime, drug trafficking, terrorism, or other. You can put a report number, like this is my 10th report for the year. So this report number 11, type of transaction, whether it was a wire, a deposit, or whatever, you know, a credit card transaction. The name of the disclosing, the full address, the person handling it, the money laundering reporting officer should be the person handling it. Again, like I said, yeah, company should have an internal policy that says all of these forms should be sent via the MLRO, and the MLRO is the liaison person for the FIU. Okay, and then the full name, individual, the date of birth and occupation. And so if you don't have that, of course, they will send somebody to audit you and find out how can you have this account on file and don't know the KYC, which is one of the statutory requirements, right? So please make sure that you fill this out properly in its entirety, because they do look at these forms and start to ask questions, why is the form incomplete? And then you have another problem. If it's a company, the company name, the date of incorporation, and then it says identification documents. Of course, they want the certificate of incorporation, the memorandums and articles of association, and a good standing, which is always, nobody checks for an expired, right? And so if you're filing an STR, they just don't send an expired good standing, because again, that's an eye opener for them to send in audit to find out what exactly, why is there an expired document. In fact, when compliance requests this information, they'll be asking you, why is the passport expired? Why is this expired? Okay. And so they want to know the beneficial owners, any authorized signatures on the account, any intermediaries, and then the account information, the account number, the date open, the date close, the assets held, the jurisdiction where it's held, any other accounts. So there's Miss Bullet on her church account. Her church ain't got nothing to do with this. But there's the good church name being involved in this STR, right? because she's the church secretary. Okay, you have to include all of that. And then they ask the amount, the debit or credit, the source. And then they say, please describe in details the transactions and the activity that promoted the report, giving reason for your suspicion, any steps that have already been taken, your own investigations. And remember now, you are the MLRO. So you have to put that you did. I checked the system, I checked the account, I looked at the KYC. You have to include stuff like that. Include information on any third party involved, the payee, the payer, the deliverer of checks, stocks, guarantees, beneficiaries, sureties, anybody involved. We want to check all of them. And of course, you would want to do a current world check or LexisNexis or Google search on the persons as well to see if any adverse media is out there. Then you sign, you put your position held, and then they want you to give them some statistical information. Are you a bank, a casino, grounds for disclosure? The last one I checked was negative media. I don't know if I had to write that in or if that's there somewhere. The currency and the customer type, okay? So normally after you would have completed this, they want to know what criminality was suspected. Was it drugs, terrorism, fraud, revenue, insider dealing, corruption, or any other? And one time we did not fill out this statistical information and they sent this line right back to us and said it's incomplete, they can't accept it. So please make sure, like I said, they do balances and checks, make sure the completeness of the form and in that you put sufficient information that, again, they will accept it and then turn it over to the police. So you send it to the FIU. If they deem necessary, they do their investigation and then turn it over to the police to investigate. Normally, after you send this, what you would receive is a production order and a disclosure order. Disclosure to give testimony, this production to produce. And so they want you to produce KYC. They want you to produce copies of the transfer. They want you to produce memo and art.
So in the bullet, you said for the disclosure, what is the disclosure for? You said
They want you to disclose, give testimony or be questioned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and production is they want you to produce, right? Produce documentation. And see, like I said, it's media publicity. There was some negative media out of Malaysia on my client. So I had to attach out of the Malaysian newspaper, you know, the article that they had written about him. Okay. So make sure you do a full review or have the account officer do a review on the file. Make sure everything is up to date and in place because the customer knows. And then you block the account so that you can ask the FIU every time they want to do a transaction. Because if you look at the history, most of the times when persons are out on bail or they've been arrested, you see they try to take all the money out of the system because they know it's going to be frozen. And so you cannot tip them off. So if they send in a request, what you do is pick up the phone, you call the FIU and say, file this STR, such and such wants $10,000. This would be the balance of what have you. And they said, okay, we don't want to tip them off. You have an approval number they give you to send this $10,000. But if they are going to completely wipe the account out, you would see that they would send a freezing subpoena to freeze that money. And they will let you know this is from the Supreme Court. You cannot do any transactions across this account without their approval in writing, they normally say. Okay, and so that's the SDR. Again, the importance is establishing that profile. And I audited 1 or 2 companies that don't ask the right questions on their account opening forms for you to even establish a profile. So then you really have a problem. Okay, you have to look at your account opening forms and make sure you ask the right questions. Not only that, the information received has to make sense, has to be corroborated. A lot of time we say, Miss Bullet is in a job letter. Yeah. We ain't seeing that Miss Bullet say she deposited $100,000. We just stamping, we ain't reading the job letter. We ain't see that Miss Bullet is only make $50 a week. Okay, cooperate the information. We're not sending the financials to the accountant department to sign off. They are the CPAs. We say, oh, I know how to read a statement, a financial statement. No, they are CPAs. Let them sign off and make sure they go to jail if the company ain't profitable. Not you. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Anything of the chapter that you read that you want to ask about? You're still there, or you're going to sleep, or you're on holiday in. You're on at the fish fry.
No, what are normal mistakes you see students make in this chapter that we should be aware of?
Normal mistakes. They don't understand simply how a suspicious transaction is established. They can't explain it. And so in their essays, they write foolishness and they lose a lot of points. They can quote the law, they can quote the fine, they know about failing to disclose, but they can't explain what makes it suspicious. And they can't even give a example.
Can we have a copy of this form, please?
Well, like I say, it's offline now. This is just, I had this in my notes. They have a website now. Which we need a copy of this for? Oh, what you could do with this? Yeah, nothing about this could be on the exam. I just give this to you for a visual, so you would, when you become the compliance officer, you would have seen it already. You want it? You want me to just email it to you?
Okay, that'll be good.
Okay, I can send it to you. Anybody else want it?
Ms. Bullard, you said that they can quote the fine. Where is that information found? The fine that's associated with failing to report an SDR.
Why you think, Miss Bullet, have these things in her head? Why?
Well, because I don't know
Somewhere
what
in the law. Let me look. Section 25 or something. I'll see the FDRA. Let me look.
I mean, this is information that we should know, right?
I mean,
That's what I want to know. Is this on the exam? Should we know this?
I mean, there's going to be a question on the exam about SDR, so you have to write.
Right. I understand that, but I mean, how in depth about knowing fines and all that. I wouldn't know where to find that.
Well, the failing to disclose, we learned that in intro, right? Did we not?
Sorry, wasn't it?
Yes, we did.
Okay, yeah, so you should know failing to disclose is the FDRA, I think section 12. I think recommendation 25. Let's put it, don't know. I gotta look. Let me look. I can't even remember. Anything coming up? Yeah, I think it's
they probably would just want the penalty, right? Which is jail time.
Yeah, for failing to
right.
disclose, yeah.
A fine, jail time, or both.
Yeah. 15 to 20 years. I mean, sorry, 12 years or something like that. I can't remember. Where is this thing that I'm looking for? Anybody out there? You all have your book. Let me look.
For the disclosure and tipping off is?
I think it's recommendation 25, which is the SDR.
It is, they say failure to disclosure and tipping off, not exceeding 12 years of $500,000 or both.
Right, that's right.
We're
So if you
confused.
tell anybody that
She just wants the information.
if you tell them that you have been, they fill out a suspicious transaction form about, you cannot tip off and you cannot say, yeah, account on hold or anything like that.
Why so much though?
Because they increased it because people wasn't taking it seriously. We had tellers talking, but oh, that's above my pay grade. I ain't giving no information. That's somebody cousin. I ain't going to court and testifying, and I ain't filling out no suspicious transaction report. So that's why they increase it so people would take it seriously. Because everybody is family in the Bahamas, so that's why they increased it.
But I mean, I have a question. I understand what you're saying, right? But come on, people could go and commit armed robbery and kill people and get less years and less fine than that.
It'd be like after 5 or 6 or something like that. Definitely ain't gonna be tonight.
Somebody after 5 or 6, but not tonight. Your mute your mic, please. Thank you. What you saying, Owen?
I was saying I understand the people need to take it serious, right? But persons could go there, they can commit murder, armed robbery, or even rape and get less time and fine than that.
You're right, Owen. But again, international, remember, that's why it's saying, if you look at the back of your book, you should have the FATF 40 recommendation. I think it's recommendation 25. Let's look at the table of contents. Let me see. You're looking at the back of your book?
Yes, it's not recommendation 25. Recommendation 20 and 21 speaks to reporting of suspicious transactions and tipping off.
Okay, yeah.
But it doesn't
So
give.
It doesn't give what?
No, it doesn't speak to like the specific fines. I don't know if that's really relevant.
No, you'd have to look to the Bahamian law for the specific fine. And I think it's the FDRA 25, then somewhere was 25.
Okay.
We'll have to go and research it. But you all can look it up in your spare time.
Okay.
If you plan to answer the questions on the final exam on STS.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, okay. So I can't find my sheet without all my information right now. I don't know what's going on. Okay, but do we understand the suspicious transaction report? Do we understand how it's established? Do we understand the importance of it? Do we understand that our institution has a guideline on internal STRs to be filed either to your manager and the MLRO? Then they will do an investigation and decide who is to be reported. And if you work to an institution where you say, oh, Ms. Bullitt is the CEO and there's a cousin or it's the cousin of some senior person in the bank and this why it's not being reported, then you have to now say that this institution is outside of my appetite and leave. But the compliance MLRO, the MLRO position is an approved position. After it's approved by the regulator, then they have to register with the FIU. And the FIU gives them access to their internal system. They do an investigation on the MLRO. They want to know a private number outside of the institution's number and a private email, and they want to know where you live in the event there is an issue. Okay. Any questions or concerns on chapter 9?
Chapter 8. No, I think this is a
Sorry,
pretty
chapter 8.
straightforward chapter. I think this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Okay. So speak now or forever go and enjoy your weekend.
Question, Ms. Bullard. Okay, on the 4 essays compared to the 1 essay, what's the word count on the text?
There's no word count. Each essay should be
There.
one pager. The mandatory question should be a 2-pager.
Okay.
Make sure that you have 10 points in each of your 4 essays and 20 points in your mandatory essay, and that's it. But there's no
Okay.
word count. You only have the word
10 to
count
20
in the
points.
homework.
Okay.
Yeah, in the homework you have a word count because you're practicing for ICA.
Right.
Remember where they need 3,500 words, so at minimum we say 1,000 to 1,200 words.
Okay.
So that's why the homework is so, okay, all right.
Yeah,
So detailed, all right.
yeah. But just one page on the exam.
Okay.
Okay, so you're ready to party? Oh, you want to talk about SDR some more?
I think we're good.
Okay.
We good.
Straightforward.
Okay, so you all have a fabulous weekend and a happy Easter. And we'll see you. No class on Saturday. We have a break. And the following week, y'all be safe.
You too,
Thank
and
you.
y'all be safe.
Thank you, Ms. Pollard.
Thank you. Happy Easter,
Right.
everyone.
Peace,
To
everyone.
y'all, okay.
Take it.
Mr. Riri.